This is how I disappear. A Death Note Podfic written by TzviaAriella and read by Heo Stories. Chapter 6. Trigger warning. This is the chapter with the execution. So obviously, warnings for description of blood and major character death. Let's get into it. He's late, said Matsuda. Mogi sighed. Just be patient. They said we would start at noon. It's only 2 after, said Aizawa. They're probably waiting to bring him in until they finish setting up the cameras. That, or he's resisting. Matsuda's eyes widened. But he can't. He knows that. Why would he? Mr. Matsuda. Audrey's voice was gentle but firm. Please calm down. As Mr. Aizawa says, even if he were here, we would still be waiting. Kinder to leave him in his cell for the present than make him wait in here and watch. El sighed quietly, adjusting his mask. Besides their matching uniforms, they had each been given full visor ski masks to shield their identities from the camera. But Matsuda had yet to put his on. He wrung it nervously in his hands, his face bare, pale, and guilt-stricken. I don't think I can do this, he said. A little late for that, snapped Aizawa. For fuck's sake, the way you've been cowering, you think you were the one dying. Matsuda recoiled, and El shot Aizawa a dismal glare. I wasn't called for. That's rich coming from you, Aizawa shot back. Battery cleared his throat. Gentlemen, I understand your anxiety, El said, ignoring his mentor. None of us want to be here, but we volunteered. Whatever the reason for the delay, it'll be over soon enough. Let's simply do our jobs and go home. The hairs rose on the back of El's neck, but it took him several heartbeats to realize why. A sudden silence had engulfed the room, and his was the only voice in it. Oh. Matsuda's voice was a small, hushed squeak. He's here. El turned. Light's hands were cuffed, but his eyes were free, scanning the room with grim curiosity. Though 2 guards flanked him, his legs weren't shackled. A small concession to dignity El was sure Light had asked for himself, as his eyes lighted on the grim metal chair, draped with leather restraints and backed by a forbidding wall of sandbags. But he bit his lip and looked away, briefly meeting El's gaze. Turning, Light said something quietly to the guard at his right arm, but the man shook his head and nudged the prisoner on. Matsuda took a step forward, but Mogi put an arm to hold him back. This isn't the social hour, he said. Let them do their jobs. But Mogi's right, said El, his eyes fixed on Light. The boy had stopped in front of the tribunal's table now, jaw set and head high, silently staring down each member in turn until they were forced to look away. The American lasted the longest. The Japanese representative never even tried. El couldn't hear what Light said afterwards, nor could he read his lips, but the content in the utterance was plain even at a distance, deliberately turning his back on them. Light walked to his Golgotha with determined steps, seating himself in the bare metal chair without help. What are you feeling now, Light? Without a word, the guards began to strap him down, securing him at the ankle and knee and torso. Light sat very still, and he was bound, grimacing as one strap was pulled tight across his waist. Is this really necessary? Better for everyone if you don't move. I see. Light's eyes drifted over to the task force, then down to the floor, his lip pinned between his teeth. We could have done this outside at least. I haven't seen. The guard looked up sharply. That's enough out of you. Give me your hands and keep your mouth shut. Light blanched and complied, holding out his cuffed wrists in silence. Studying him, Al felt a pang of guilt. He's terrified. Though Light's performance so far was masterful, he couldn't fully hide his fear. Nor had Al forgotten the way he sobbed in his father's arms a mere few days before. As hard as Light was trying to die as a man, he would never live as anything more than a child. Mother is right. I do pity him. And it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Satisfied, the guard stepped away, leaving Light trussed and alone, raising his head, the one part of him still free to move. He looked disdainfully at the tribunal. Do I have your permission to speak now? Wait for my signal, the cameraman said, and look here. Light obeyed. Better? Yes, alright. 3, 2, 1. Mesmerized, Elle watched Light's appearance shifts. Moments before, he had been slouching, shame and barely suppressed fear in his mien. Now he was Kira, straight-backed and proud, staring the camera down as if his metal and leather prison were a throne. My name is Light Yagami. I'm 19 years old. I graduated high school last spring, top of my class. I'm a student at Todai University, or I was. Most of you are probably thinking you've never heard of me, but you have. You see, I am Kira. Light paused, letting the sentence sink in. Then he went on. I know what you must be thinking. Either you don't believe me, or you want to know why I did it. If you think I'm a scapegoat, I doubt anything I could say would convince you, but simply comparing the date of my arrest to the date of Kira's disappearance should be enough to confirm the truth. As for why, I did it for you. All of you. I didn't intend to be a martyr. I intended to be God. Not in some delusional superhuman sense, but the true sense. A power to protect the innocent and judge of the guilty, one who establishes just law and teaches the world a better way of living. The media will paint me as a monster, but anyone who watches the news knows the truth. That the world is rotten around us, and you, the innocent, are the ones who suffer most. I tried to change that. Just look at the crime rate while I was active compared to the crime rate before and after. Just look at the happiness and gratitude of the victims who finally got justice from my acts. I knew killing was a crime. I knew I might end up here. But what other choice did I have? If I hadn't acted, I would have only been sacrificing all the lives I've saved to protect my own. Would that have been moral? Would that have been just? No. I'm Kira, and I'm not ashamed of it. I only wish I could have done more. Light's voice shook slightly, but his words had a polished practice ring to them. Somehow, that didn't surprise Elle at all. He's still trying to save his image, to be remembered as he wants to be seen. Of course he would memorize his speech. He could all too easily picture Light sitting alone in his cell for days, practicing his last words under his breath until he knew them by heart. But whether the effort was impressive or merely pathetic, that I couldn't decide. It won't make a difference. Come Halloween, they'll be selling plastic masks of his face alongside jumpsuits and the vials of fake blood. And even children will wear them, People laugh the hardest at the things that once frightened them, like, you are always doomed to be a joke. Like wet his lips. In a few minutes, I'm going to die. I know that these words, here, now, are the last chance I'll ever have to speak for myself. With that in mind, there are a few people here and someone I'd like to specifically address. Though you presumably can't see it, I am not alone. Here in front of me are the esteemed representatives of 8 nations: the United States, Russia, China, Brazil, France, the United Kingdom, Tanzania, and my home country of Japan. These 8 people oversaw the trial of my case from start to finish, called witnesses, examined evidence, and condemned me to death. All entirely in my absence until now. This is the first time I've ever seen them, or that they've seen me. I was never called to testify, never given a chance to speak in my own defense or appeal my sentence. Since they've made their disdain for anything I might have to say quite clear, I'll keep my words to them brief. You're all cowards. I leave you to the media and the outrage of your citizens. May they show you as much mercy as you've shown me. Well, Elle sucked in a breath, glancing over at the tribunal members for a reaction, but their faces might as well have been carved from stone. Light ignored them completely, his attention still fixed on the camera. To my family. I hope you're not watching this, but if you are, this isn't your fault. I know this isn't the legacy you wanted for me, but it's the one I chose. You never failed me, and I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry that I failed you. I wish I could be the son you deserve, that I could get married and give you grandchildren and take care of you, like you've always taken care of me. I wish I could see Sayu graduate and call her at college and dance with her at her wedding. I wish I could, but I can't. I have fewer regrets than people think, but that one hurts the most. Forgive me for my crimes against myself. I love you. Please don't watch. To the media, who will no doubt view this video as a gift. I don't care what you say about me. Call me a monster, call me a coward, I don't care. But I beg you, leave my family alone. They had no idea what I was doing, and they deserve to grieve in peace. Pry into my school records, interview my ex-girlfriends, dredge up every embarrassing secret I ever had. I would know the difference. But if you have any decency at all, leave my family out of it. I've given you more fodder for your news shows than you could ever have hoped. The least you can do is one favor in return. To the families and friends of the FBI agents and the MPA officers who died on this case, I am sorry. Your friends and loved ones gave their lives in pursuit of justice, and they deserved a kinder fate. Had I succeeded, their deaths would have meant something, would have paved the way to a better world and a better future. Needless to say, I failed. It was never my goal to be vicious or to hurt the undeserving. That innocent people were caught up in my a note of panic rose in his voice, and he glanced uncertainly at the Japanese member of the tribunal. What's the word? Machinations? My machinations, yes, that's light cut off mid-graduate as he saw the tribunal react, relief fading from his eyes. A tribunal member, third from the right, Elle thought, remembering what he'd written. I made him do that, and he knows. A hard, unfamiliar weight settled in Elle's stomach as light Jeremy glanced at him, his lip between his teeth. Then Kira pasted on a smile and lifted his face once more to the camera. That innocent people were caught up in my machinations, he said, emphasizing the fatal word, is inexcusable. And the one thing I truly regret, I am sorry for all you have suffered on my account, and for what they have suffered most of all. I would have liked to be able to meet you, to have offered you what restitution I could, but it seems all I have to offer is my death. I hope it brings you comfort. I wish I could do more. To the families of my other so-called victims, you're welcome. That's all. El sniffed quietly, torn between smiling and rolling his eyes. Stubborn to the last. From the corner of his eye, he could see the tribunal members conferring, but Light's expression never changed. At last, the Japanese delegate rose from his seat. You may proceed. No, wait! Light's voice cracked, sudden panic in his eyes. Wait, no, I forgot one more thing. The guard looked from Light to the tribunal, eyebrows raised in question. At the Japanese delegate's nod, he backed away. Go on. I'm sorry. That that's one that's one more group of people I should address. Ignoring the camera completely, Light turned to face to the task force. To the men who are here today to take my life. Thank you. I forgive you. Then, softly, don't miss. I forgive you. The words hung in the air, lingering in silence. After a moment, the guard cleared his throat. Is that all? Yes. Tearing his eyes away from the men he'd once called friends, Light settled back into his chair. I'm ready. Light? A voice choked out Light's name, and Elle turned. Matsuda. The man had taken a step forward, his eyes wide. Light, I'm sorry. Back in line, ordered a guard, and Matsuda obeyed, stepping back into place without another word. Light paid him no notice. The doomed prisoner's eyes stared past the camera, soft but vacant, as if some part of him was already gone. An effect of the death note, I wonder? Or is he doing it on his own, hiding from reality in his mind? There was no way for Elle to tell, no opportunity to ask. He would simply never know. A man in a long white lab coat rose from his seat along the wall, a stethoscope draped around his neck. Raising the earpiece to his ears, he bent down beside the prisoner, pressing the diaphragm to Light's chest. Light shuddered at the touch. Easy, the attendant cautioned. This won't take long. I know. The man withdrew a small paper bullseye from his pocket and pinned it carefully to Light's jumpsuit. He listened once more to be sure of the placement, then let the end of the stethoscope drop. Would you prefer to be blindfolded or to watch? I don't care. Very well. Pulling out a length of black cloth, he wound it around Light's eyes, knotting it tightly behind the boy's head. Light knuckles clenched white on the edge of the armchairs. But he said nothing, his mouth a tight, grim line of resignation. As the attendant backed away, the cameraman moved as well, positioning himself for a clear, safer shot of what was to come, the moment of truth. Gentlemen, to your positions. Silently, reluctantly, Al slipped on his protective earmuffs and walked forward, stopping on the electrical or tape X he'd been assigned. An official approached with a stack of rifles, and L took one at random, running through Watery's advice in his mind. Both eyes open. Keep the sights aligned and focus. Don't hold your breath. Press. Don't pull. Both eyes open. Keep the sights aligned and in focus. Don't hold your breath. Press. Don't pull. Arms now empty, the official stepped back out of the line of fire. Gentlemen, on my mark. A strange, low sound cut through Al's thoughts, interrupting the interminable litany of advice. Confused, he looked around for the source. His eyes widened as he realized what it was. Light was singing. Torianse, Torianse, go, go, ado, go, no, homies, and see me, cha. Tenjin, Samano, Homochi, Micha. His voice wasn't perfect, but the notes were true, shaking at first, but gaining strength. El's grip on his rifle tightened. I never knew he could sing. A sharp inhalation beside him told El he wasn't the only one. Surprised, but he had no time to turn and look. Already the official's hand was up, signaling the executioners to take aim. Go no my no no tosha no no no. Go no yatsu no niwa ni. Both eyes open, El told himself, trying to shove the mournful swan song from his mind. Don't hold your breath. Press. Don't pull. Pressing his cheek to the rifle, he let his eyes focus on the sights as Watery had taught him. Press. Don't pull. Iki wa yoyu yoi karikwa. The hand dropped. The rifles roared in near unison, horrifyingly loud despite El's earmuffs, and the song cut off abruptly. Light jerked in his restraints. Blood sprayed the sandbags. The paper target on his chest tattered and drenched in a sudden sea of red. I didn't get the blank. A terrible sound burst from a tiny boy's throat, half an exhalation and half a moan. For several seconds his mouth moved, forming voiceless shapes that might have been words. Then, like Yagmi's jaw went slack, and his head drooped to his bleeding chest. At ease, gentlemen. Transfixed, L lowered his rifle, slumped and silent in his restraints. Light appeared somehow shrunken, more like a child than the man he tried so hard to be. Though his body had relaxed, nothing about him looked peaceful. He looked broken. He looked dead. Schrodinger's corpse. Unnerved, L pulled his eyes from the red ruin of Light's chest and studied his hand instead. The boy's fingers had released their death grip on the chair, draping limp and empty over the end of the metal arm. If his mother were here, she'd hold that hand, try to reassure him he's not alone. His father, too. But Light was alone, bloody and dying, and not a person who moved to comfort him. They simply watched. 30 seconds. The spray from Light's chest slowed to an ooze, to a trickle, to a stop. Soon Elle knew that formidable brain would begin to fail, the oxygen starved neurons snuffing like candles and going out. Around 5 minutes, the damage would become irreversible, but of course, it already was. It was irreversible the moment we fired, the moment I wrote Light Yagami across a Death Note page. It was irreversible the moment he grabbed the notebook from me and screamed. Elle could hear someone gasping, plainly struggling not to cry, but he didn't turn to see who it was. He kept his silent, vigil eyes riveted to Light. A minute passed. Grim-faced, the attendant pressed the stethoscope to Light's chest, listening intently. After a moment, he straightened and replaced the device around his neck, giving the camera a satisfied nod. Inmate Light Yagami, March 15th, 2005. Time of death, 12:19 p.m. He turned to the guards. Take him down. Light fell forward as they unstrapped him, pale and limp in death, collapsing into the men's arms like a broken doll. Ignoring them, the attendant met Elle's eyes with a smile. You gentlemen are free to go. Turn in your rifles as you leave, and thank you for your service. Or service. Elle stared back, his eyes cold. The man's smile flickered and went out. Without a word, the detective thrust his empty rifle at the waiting official and walked away, pulling the mask from his face as he went. He didn't look back. Well, that's that. One more chapter to go. I'm sorry for the butchered Japanese. I don't speak, don't really sing. So combining the two into one Japanese song with an emotional words, an emotional attachment is not ideal. I shook away any emotion Light might have had singing that. I had a recording of the song in my ear and just sang along with it, looking at the text and tried not to butcher it. I butchered it. Yeah. I haven't recorded in like 2.5, 3 weeks. Hope you enjoyed.